When my girlfriend went to the service area restroom, she forgot to disconnect the car's Bluetooth. Her voice messages with her best friend played one by one in the car. She was comparing me to other guys and planning to test my loyalty with some beautiful woman. She kept saying she was just playing with me. When I turned around and got engaged to someone else, she cried and begged me. The internet didn't say it would be like this, she'd sob. We were just one step away from getting married. How could you just give up? During the Memorial Day weekend, I went with my girlfriend, Chloe, to visit her parents. On the last day, we started driving back to the city around noon. As soon as she got in the car, she started complaining that my playlist was outdated. She fiddled with the center console screen, trying to connect her Bluetooth to play her own music. Chloe doesn't have a driver's license and has never driven a car, so she quickly got flustered. "What a piece of junk," she snapped at me. "Why don't you help me?" I had to drive and talk her through it at the same time. By the time she finally got the Bluetooth connected, I was covered in sweat. The music kept cutting in and out. A 3.5-minute song was interrupted by notification chimes more than 10 times. Chloe sat in the passenger seat, busy replying to messages on her phone. She was eating snacks the whole way, and halfway through the trip, she drank a huge cup of boba tea. About halfway to our destination, she started getting restless. "Find a rest stop. Hurry up. Drive faster. Don't you know I have to go?" When we finally reached the next service area, Chloe rushed out of the car. I rolled down the window, just about to have a smoke and relax for a minute. The music in the car suddenly stopped, and a girl's voice came through the speakers. "Are you still going to test him? People can't resist temptation. What if he falls for someone else? Didn't he make a good impression at your parents' house? Are you still just playing with him?" The voice message, the 20-second one, got louder and louder as it played. Chloe must have been in the restroom, realized she couldn't hear it, and turned up the volume on her phone. When the message ended, the music started again. A moment later, the music stopped again, and this time it was Chloe's voice. "What did you send? Why can't I hear anything?" "Ethan is willing to offer a $30,000 engagement gift, and my parents are pretty happy with that. But the tests have to continue. You have to keep a man on his toes. You can't let him think he can marry me that easily. After playing him for 2 years, he's barely passing." The message cut off. She probably tried to listen to her own voice message and realized it wasn't playing on her phone. What tests? Just playing with me. What on earth did Chloe think I was? When Chloe came back from the restroom, I was standing a short distance away smoking, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. She got into the passenger seat, saw the Bluetooth was still connected, and quickly jumped back out of the car. She looked at me suspiciously. "Honey, have you been out here smoking this whole time?" I flicked the cigarette but to the ground and stamped it out. "What's wrong?" I asked calmly. Seeing no change in my expression, Chloe looked away. "Nothing. Let's get going. The sooner we get back to the city, the sooner we can get in line for that new trendy restaurant." Eating. All she ever thought about was eating. For the rest of the drive, I had to bite my tongue several times. I struggled to suppress the rage I felt from being played. The moment we got home, I asked tentatively, "Honey, what did your parents think of me?" Chloe didn't answer. Just like always, she kicked off her shoes, fanned her face with her hand, and shuffled into the bedroom. "I'm so tired and hot. I don't want to go out. You can make dinner. I'm hungry." She had been wearing heeled sandals the whole trip, and now one lay face up and the other face down, both kicked far from the doormat. Normally, I would have picked up her shoes, put them in the shoe closet, and tidied up the entryway. But now, looking at the scattered shoes, a vein throbbed in my temple. I didn't want to be the perfect boyfriend anymore. Chloe had always been like this. When we first started dating, she seemed so neat and put together. It was only after we moved in together that I discovered how messy she was. Every time I came back from a business trip, the apartment was a disaster. Empty snack bags were scattered on the bed. The trash would be overflowing with bugs because she hadn't taken it out. Worn clothes were piled up on the windowsill, and the next day she'd just pick out something relatively clean to wear from the pile. Whenever I brought it up, asking her to be a little tidier, Chloe would hold up her manicured hands and say dismissively, "My hands weren't made for housework." Being a considerate boyfriend is a man's best quality. I'm giving you an opportunity to show it. I kicked one of her overturned shoes out of the way, walked straight to the sofa, and picked up the tablet. Just as I thought, her iMessage was still logged in. Chloe loved to play mobile games, and even though the tablet was mine, she was always the one using it. That's why she felt safe leaving her account logged in on it. Her chat with her best friend was still going. I scrolled through their chat history. Chloe, acting like some kind of expert, was giving her friend all sorts of terrible advice. Men are all the same. You have to constantly test their limits. Never do any housework. The only way to keep things exciting is to make him buy you gifts. You can't let him think he can walk all over you. Ethan is easygoing, but if he ever argued with me, I'd slap him to show him I'm not to be messed with. You have to get them under your thumb from the very beginning. She also said she was just playing with me. Seeing me bring up marriage again and again gave her a sense of accomplishment. She had even bragged about it to her friend several times. She didn't have a job, yet she demanded I buy her gifts every single month to satisfy her need for romance. I thought she genuinely wanted to marry me, which is why I put up with it all. I figured women could be a little dramatic. I could tolerate that, but this was just her playing me. These past 2 years of endless demands, constant difficulties, and nonstop arguments were all just her tests. Marrying me isn't that easy, she wrote. The tests aren't over yet. I found a loyalty tester on one of those lifestyle blogs. He'll use a burner account to tempt him. Don't worry. Men are more desperate to get married than we are. Chloe walked out of the bedroom in her pajamas with a sheet mask on her face. I'm exhausted after sitting in the car all afternoon. And your car is way too old. Before we get married, you need to buy a BMW 7 Series at the very least. Put in my name. It'll look good as our wedding car. She had no job and no savings, but she sure knew how to dream big. I asked, my parents are free anytime. When do you want to go over to my place to discuss the wedding? No rush, she said. First, we need to agree on the new car, a $28,000 gift, the traditional wedding jewelry, and the money for formally addressing my parents. Chloe glanced at me and added, oh, right. I just found out we also have a local custom for a clothing gift. It's not much, just another $18,000. What the hell? Did she think she was some kind of priceless treasure, raising the price right then and there? Around New Year's, you said the gift was $18,000. I agreed, and that's when we started seriously talking about marriage. Now you want to double it? Honey, I've been pampered my whole life. A marriage is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Of course, I want the best. When she saw I wasn't taking the bait, Chloe knew to back off a little and soften her tone. I shot back. You keep putting off the wedding. What's really going on? She feigned coyness. What's the rush? If you want to marry me, you have to pass my tests. I was sick of hearing that, and my tone turned cold. Chloe, I'm giving you one last chance. Don't play this game of raising the price on me. We either get married or we break up. You choose. Chloe could tell I was angry, but then she remembered all those successful posts she'd seen on those lifestyle blogs. She wasn't about to settle for just $18,000. She sat cross-legged on the sofa and changed the subject. Let's not talk about this. Go make dinner. I'm hungry. Now that I had my answer, I didn't feel like arguing anymore. I forced a smile but didn't move. Driving was tiring. I don't want to cook. Besides, since we're not getting married, there's no reason for me to cook for you all the time. I'm not your housekeeper. Hearing this, Chloe got angry and forgot all about her gradual approach. Used to being the boss in our home, she stretched out her leg and kicked me hard. Don't think you're safe just because you met my parents. They didn't have a good impression of you. I'm the one who had to talk you up. Now you can't even be a decent boyfriend. Last time, Maria's boyfriend drove for 6 hours and he still cooked dinner for her. Why are you so tired? That's Rich. She's tired from just sitting in the car, but I'm not supposed to be tired from driving? Stop comparing me to other people, I shouted, cutting her off, the vein in my temple throbbing. We're breaking up. Go date her boyfriend. Chloe was stunned. She never expected me, the guy who always just took these comparisons, to actually yell at her. James, how dare you yell at me? She ripped the mask off her face, jumped up from the sofa, and swung on my face. I dodged, and the slap landed on my arm with a burning sting. Before I could react, she started hitting me again and again. I pushed her away. Don't think I won't hit you back. She lunged at me again. Go on, hit me. How dare you yell at me? Chloe got more and more worked up, finally grabbing things nearby and throwing them at me. Suddenly, all the anger I had been suppressing just exploded. You eat my food, you spend my money, and you still want to treat me like dirt? Screw you. We're breaking up. I grabbed her arm with one hand and swung my other arm in a wide arc. The slap was loud and crisp. The living room went so quiet you could hear a pin drop, until a notification chime from her phone brought her back to reality. You actually hit me? Chloe grabbed the photo frame of us and smashed it on the floor. Glass shattered everywhere. She stormed into the bedroom, her footsteps heavy with rage. When she came out, she had changed into her street clothes and was glaring at me on the sofa. Fine, we'll break up. I'm going to find a new boyfriend right now. Don't you regret this? She grabbed her suitcase and walked slowly to the door to put on her shoes. I stood up. Chloe thought I was going to beg and plead with her like I always did. She snorted, ready to play hard to get. Instead, I turned and lay down on the sofa, facing away from her. Take your stuff and get out. Chloe slammed the door so hard the walls shook. Once her footsteps faded away, I shot up from the sofa. A message from my dad was still on my phone screen. Don't forget to bring your girlfriend home for your mom's birthday. I felt a knot in my stomach. 1 minute we were planning a wedding, the next I was single. I had no idea how I was going to explain this to my parents. I sat there alone and smoked half a pack of cigarettes. Over the next 2 hours, I packed all of Chloe's belongings into boxes. I sent her a message telling her to come get her things the next morning. The moment I hit send, a red exclamation point appeared. She had blocked me. Whatever. I stacked the boxes by the door, making sure they weren't blocking the hallway. Then I reset the smart lock and registered a new fingerprint. After all that was done, I went downstairs for some barbecue and ordered 4 pounds of crawfish. I used a scrimp and saved to buy her gifts, never letting myself splurge like this. It felt amazing. Just then, 2 new messages popped up on my phone. Could it be the loyalty tester Chloe hired? I felt a surge of excitement. Finally, I could turn the tables. Ava, I heard you took your girlfriend to meet your parents over the holiday. Are you guys planning on getting married? Ava, did Mrs. Peterson approve? I got excited for nothing. The next morning, I was in the middle of a department meeting. My assistant burst into the conference room in a panic. I was about to reprimand him when he whispered, Chloe is making a scene in the reception area. I rushed over immediately. What is the meaning of this? You threw my things outside and deleted my fingerprint. When she saw me, Chloe raised her eyebrows, her voice full of threat. Apologize. Otherwise, I won't forgive you so easily. It seems you've forgotten what I said before. I can kick you out anytime I want, understand? Chloe thought saying this would make me panic and rush to buy her gifts to win her back, just like I used to. Before I could say a word, another woman's voice cut in. James, is your office always this lively? A woman in a red bodycon dress and high heels was walking toward us through the crowd. She casually twirled a lock of dark hair around her finger. What's this? So in love you can't even be apart during work hours. Her features were striking and she was tall, making her stand out in the crowd. The color drained from Chloe's face. She looked the woman up and down. She couldn't believe a woman this beautiful was standing next to me. James, who is she? No wonder you deleted my fingerprint. You meet my parents yesterday and find a new girl today. You're shameless. No matter how pretty she is, she's just a homewrecker picking up my leftovers. Her sharp, vicious voice echoed through the office. Shut up, I yelled, cutting her off. The woman's name was Ava. She was my neighbor and we were childhood friends. She's 2 years younger than me. Back then, she was a little crybaby who followed me everywhere. We grew up together, and during our teenage years, we had a mutual crush on each other for a while. I always thought that when we were older, I would ask her to be my girlfriend. But then, right before high school, she left to study abroad without a word and vanished from my life. It wasn't until last year that she reappeared, this time as a business partner. In the years we hadn't seen each other, her personality had completely changed. Now, she was my frenemy, always ready with a sarcastic comment whenever we met. I thought Ava would be furious after hearing Chloe's vicious words. Instead, she took a step closer. Her slender, pale wrist looped around my arm. She gave Chloe a seductive smile. I wish. Unfortunately, he's never given me the chance. The last part of her sentence was tinged with a hint of sadness. She made it sound so real. Such a drama queen. I pulled my arm away and looked Chloe straight in the eye. Did you forget? We broke up yesterday. It was your choice. Chloe's hands tightened into fists. She stared daggers at Ava, as if she hadn't heard a word I said. James, if I report you for having an office affair, your career is over. Ava sat down on a nearby stool. She crossed her long legs, looking like a proud swan, her expression full of disdain. Ma'am, let me remind you, they've already broken up. Chloe gritted her teeth. An office romance. Your boss will fire you for this. Ava replied nonchalantly. Go ahead and try. If I felt like it, this company could be mine. She wasn't lying. Her family owned the Miller Group, an industry giant. Buying our little company would be a piece of cake for them. Chloe's expression flickered, but she quickly regained her composure. She was convinced she had me wrapped around her finger. James, if you want to get back together, you're going to have to beg me. I gestured toward the door. Get out. You'll regret this, she said, walking away without a backward glance. After she left, I said, I didn't know you had a talent for acting. Next time you decide to help, give me a heads up. Finally, serves you right for having such bad taste, Ava said, moving a little closer. I caught a faint, familiar scent on her. The smell was familiar, and I could almost still feel the touch of her hand on my arm. I shook my head and shot back, about as bad as yours. You've been single your whole life. You've got no room to talk. I turned and started walking toward my office. Are we here to discuss the partnership or to gossip? I already had a comeback ready for her next jab. But after a moment, Ava didn't say anything, so I glanced back. She had a rare smile on her face, different from her usual sarcastic smirk. She looked genuinely happy. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a soft glow on her fair skin, giving her cheeks a hint of pink. For a second, I could almost see the innocent girl she used to be. When she was quiet, she really was a beautiful woman. Just as I was appreciating the moment, Ava's smile vanished, and her usual cool mask slipped back into place. We're done talking. Just sign the contract. I'm in a good mood today. She certainly wasn't acting like this earlier in the meeting room when she was giving me a hard time. That weekend was my mom's birthday. I went home early in the morning. Chloe was already sitting on the sofa. My mom had only met her once and was clearly uncomfortable. She breathed a sigh of relief when she saw me. She pulled me into the kitchen and asked, She hasn't said a word since she got here. Did something happen? I told her the truth. Mom, Chloe and I broke up. Hearing that, my mom's eyes lit up for a second, but she quickly suppressed it. All she said was, I'll get started on lunch. You two talk. They had only met that one time, and it hadn't been a pleasant visit. While Chloe was busy testing me, she was also looking down on my parents. My parents aren't stupid. They could feel it, but they put up with it for my sake. While my mom was in the kitchen making lunch, Chloe gave me a smug look. Your mom is just an uneducated woman from the countryside. I bet she's desperate for you to get married. Let's see how you explain our breakup to her. I glanced at the expensive gift bag of bird's nest soup by the door. Did you buy this? That stuff costs a few $100s at least. It was the first time I'd ever seen her be so generous. Chloe glanced at the gift bag. I came all this way to celebrate your mom's birthday. You should take this chance to make up with me. Give me a slap, then offer me a piece of candy. I wasn't falling for it. I pulled Chloe up from a sofa and opened the front door. Don't ever come to my house again, and take your things with you. Chloe had clearly hoped to use my mom's birthday to get back in my good graces and reconcile. She never expected me to be throwing her out before she could even get a second sentence in. She refused to leave, turning her head away and starting to struggle and scream. No, I'm not leaving. Let go of me. Stop pulling me. James, you're a scumbag. You're shameless. I didn't get it. She used to leave the second a meal was over, never wanting to stay a minute longer. Why was she clinging to me now? Oh, stop it. Don't fight, my mom yelled, rushing out of the kitchen when she heard the commotion. She got between us. Son, just talk it out. Chloe seemed to think we were ganging up on her and started screaming and shoving both of us. She gave my mom a hard push. My mom stumbled backward and hit the shoe cabinet, clutching her lower back and gasping in pain. You're all ganging up on me. Chloe shrieked, clawing at my face. A sharp, Burning pain spread across my cheek. I was seeing red, and I barely stopped myself from punching her. Just then, the door creaked open and Ava walked in. Seeing her, my mom cried out like she was a savior. "Ava, please break them up." Ava glanced at my face and frowned. The next second, two sharp slaps echoed through the room. Chloe froze, her manic rage replaced by stunned silence. "Are you calm now?" Ava asked, shaking her hand, which was probably stinging from the force. "You dare hit me?" Chloe snapped back to her senses, glaring at Ava with a mixture of hatred and fear. She was a paper tiger, only brave when she thought she had the upper hand. Without the filter of love, everything about Chloe was just a turn-off. "This is breaking and entering and assault. If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police." Ava helped my mom to the sofa, then took a tissue and gently dabbed my face. She rolled her eyes. "Does it hurt? This is no time to be a gentleman. If someone hits you, you hit them back." I smiled. "Isn't that what you're here for?" She was putting on a show, and I was happy to play along. Chloe muttered a few more curses before leaving reluctantly. On her way out, she reached for the gift bag by the door. Ava blocked her and slapped a receipt down on the coffee table. "The receipt is right here. That's enough to get you charged with theft." Chloe gritted her teeth and refused to look at me. "Who's stealing?" "I was just looking." She slammed the door on her way out. In August, Ava invited me to an industry networking gala. Our product design had finally been approved after 3 rounds of revisions. Ava and I attended the event together. We both wanted to use the opportunity to promote our new product within the industry. Most of the attendees were management-level executives from various companies. Unexpectedly, I ran into Chloe at the gala. The event organizers had invited a lot of influencers and models to liven up the atmosphere. Chloe, wearing a Chanel-style dress, was mingling in the crowd. She was clearly surprised to see me carrying 2 glasses of juice. "James, are you following me? I'm kind of famous now, and I'm gorgeous. I knew you'd want to get back together, but it's too late. Besides, this isn't the kind of place you belong. Hey, where are you going?" I turned, grabbed a piece of cake from the dessert table, and ignored Chloe's rambling. We hadn't seen each other in 3 months, but I would occasionally get photos sent from unknown numbers. Some were of Chloe out clubbing. Others were screenshots of her social media account with 50,000 followers. There were also pictures of various gifts and jewelry. It was obvious she was sending them herself, trying to prove how great her life was and make me regret leaving her. Chloe's smile widened. "Your life must be miserable without me. You've sunk so low you have to work as a waiter just to get in here." Before she could finish, Mr. Thompson from a rival company walked over. "Mr. Evans, we should really prioritize our partnership. Let me get your number so we can connect more easily." Chloe was stunned. "Partnership? Aren't you a waiter?" Mr. Thompson glanced at her, and when he realized she wasn't a business associate, his expression soured. "Mr. Evans is a top technical expert. Why would he be a waiter? Didn't anyone tell you not to speak out of turn?" Chloe was speechless. She had been hired just to liven up the atmosphere at the gala. The person who got her the gig had specifically warned her not to offend any of the important guests. She hadn't been present for the technical discussions earlier in the day. When we were dating, she never cared about my work, so it never occurred to her that I would be an actual guest. By the time she looked up again, Mr. Thompson and I were already gone. As her company's representative, Ava had to socialize with several industry titans. Halfway through the evening, she found me and haughtily demanded that I, her date, help run interference for her. In reality, she wanted to introduce me to her network. We went around greeting and toasting many of the tycoons from her father's generation. When we finally had a moment alone, Ava raised her glass to me. "James, thank you for coming with me tonight." She raised an eyebrow. "You look really handsome in that custom suit." "I like it." I teased her. "You say that like I'm not handsome all the time. Even if I'm handsome." Before I could finish, she leaned in and pressed a finger to my lips. "Don't say something to ruin the mood. You were always like that." Her words trailed off. I couldn't quite hear the end. "Always like what?" I asked. She didn't answer, just rested her chin in her hand and stared at me with a dreamy look in her eyes, as if lost in a memory. The deep red V-neck of her dress made her skin look as white as snow, and the expansive skin it revealed was alluring. The ambient light cast a pinkish glow on her cheeks. There were plenty of influencers and socialites at the gala. But Ava's stunning features and incredible figure made her stand out, drawing a lot of attention. Maybe it was the alcohol, but her gaze seemed to become a little more intimate. You know, she said, sitting here, talking and laughing with you like this. I've dreamed about this moment so many times over the last 5 years. We were childhood sweethearts. How could I have been so blind as to choose my ex over her? Ava had disappeared right before college for 5 whole years. Seeing her again after all that time, things inevitably felt a little distant. I had always wanted to ask her why she left, but I never had the courage. I decided to take the chance. Why did you leave for school abroad without saying a word back then? A helpless look crossed her face. Isn't it obvious? I didn't want the person I liked to hate me. Ooh, I was about to press her for more when we were interrupted. James! Chloe came running over. Her eyes immediately fell on Ava. She muttered under her breath, "Why is she everywhere?" Then she reached out to grab my arm. "Come on, take me home. I just bought 2 new dresses I want to show you. I haven't eaten all night, so I could fit into this dress. Let's go home, and you can make me some noodles. We haven't seen each other in 3 months. Don't you miss me? I think about you every single day." It was as if she'd completely forgotten that we had broken up. She just kept on with her sweet talk, but I had no desire to play her game anymore. We broke up a long time ago. With that, I took Ava's hand and started to leave. Chloe ran after us. "Honey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so difficult. But we were together for 2 years. Can you really just end it like this?" I stopped in my tracks and turned to face her. "Then why did you keep raising the price for the engagement gift? Demanding a car, demanding a clothing gift, and constantly testing me, all in the name of love? When you were bragging to your friends about how stupid I was, did you ever think about our relationship then?" Chloe was speechless. People passing by from a ballroom were giving us strange looks. "James," Ava said, tugging on my hand. She held onto my arm, her fingers gently tickling my palm. In a playful, pouty voice, she said, "How much longer are you going to make me stand here? I'm so tired. Carry me." She wrapped her arms around my neck, and I instinctively lifted her into my arms. Even though we were just acting, I felt a strange tingle run through me. Chloe's eyes widened in fury. Ava snuggled closer, burying her face in my chest. Her Valentino-clad feet dangled and swayed. An ex-girlfriend should know her place. All Chloe could do was stomp her foot in frustration as she watched us leave. In the elevator, I gently set Ava down. She smoothed out her dress, a fleeting look of disappointment in her eyes. Leaning against the elevator wall, she asked, "So what's the deal? Thinking about getting back with her?" I shrugged. "I don't do leftovers. You're not getting any younger. Don't you have anyone you're seriously dating?" She seemed a little tipsy, tilting her head with a smile. "I wouldn't mind dating you." I assumed she was joking. I changed the subject back to what we were talking about before. "So, why did you suddenly leave for school back then?" She stared at the floor numbers on the elevator display, her tone a mix of serious and playful. "The person I liked didn't like me back. I was a shy young girl, so I ran away. Who knew that after all these years, I still wouldn't be able to forget him?" I feigned outrage. "Who was it? What a blind idiot. I'll go beat him up for you." She turned to look at me, a faint smile playing on her lips. "Yeah," she said. "Who could have such bad taste?" Her gaze was intense and direct. If she hadn't looked away after 3 seconds, I might have been shameless enough to think she was talking about me. Ava changed the subject. "My dad's health hasn't been great lately, and my grandpa is getting older. They're both pressuring me to get married, and it's so annoying. And you know my dad, he's so picky. There's almost no one he approves of." The mention of Mr. Miller made me shiver involuntarily. When we were kids, her family was the wealthiest in the neighborhood. Her dad was a very strict, traditional man who had high expectations for Ava. To put it in modern terms, he was always on high alert, keeping boys away from her. He was always pleasant enough to me, being the neighbor kid, but he still left a deep impression. Ava looked at me, tilting her chin up with a shy smile. "James, do me a favor. Can you pretend to be my boyfriend?" I agreed to help Ava. It wasn't just because she had helped me out with Chloe a few times, but also because we had developed a great professional chemistry over the past couple of years. Things moved quickly over the next 2 weeks. She introduced me as her boyfriend and took me home for dinner with her family. The dinner went very smoothly. Her parents were almost overly enthusiastic. Our families had known each other for years, and their attitude toward my parents was as friendly as ever. They even drew up a list of a lavish dowry, shares in various branches of the family company, over $800,000 in cash, and 2 villas. I held the list in my hands, and they were shaking. Grandpa Miller kept pushing us to get engaged as soon as possible. That day, as we were leaving Ava's house after dinner, my phone rang. I was driving, so I couldn't answer. Ava glanced at the screen. It's an unknown number. Should I answer it? Go ahead, I said casually. If it's a telemarketer, just hang up. What if it's a personal call? She teased, but she answered it without hesitation. Hello, who is this? Oh, who am I? I'm James's girlfriend, of course. I don't know what the person on the other end said, but her tone became very affectionate. Honey, don't be silly, I'm on the phone. Miss, James and I are getting engaged soon. We'll be sure to send you an invitation to the wedding. It was Chloe again. Ever since that gala, she had been calling me from different numbers, saying the same thing over and over, begging me to take her back. After she hung up, Ava said softly, Sorry, I shouldn't have said all that without asking you first. But the smile playing on her lips gave away how she really felt. You helped me solve a problem too, I said. My dad is already starting to plan the engagement party. What are we going to do? It's just an engagement, not a marriage, she said with a shrug, her tone a little tentative. Would it be so terrible to be engaged to me? Getting engaged to the heiress of the Miller Group, who also happened to be my childhood friend and my first love. The sunlight streamed through the car window, lighting up Ava's face and making her look exceptionally beautiful. No matter how you looked at it, I was the one getting the better end of this deal. Besides, it was just an act. Seeing that I was quiet, Ava added, You can take the lead on the new project, and I'll give you an extra 20% of the profits. She was investing $5 million, and I was contributing my technical expertise. The original 50-50 split was already very generous on her part. Now she was offering another 20%. I shook my head and smiled. There's no need for that. Getting engaged to a beautiful woman is already a huge win for me. Ava laughed a bright, happy sound. And just like that, I became Ava's fiancé. I accompanied her to all sorts of events and, in the process, met many important people. Our interactions grew more and more intimate. Sometimes a simple gesture, like her tucking her hair behind her ear or linking her arm through mine, would make my heart race. As time went on, I sometimes found it hard to tell if we were still just pretending. Grandpa Miller was even more impatient than I had expected. He personally picked an auspicious date for our engagement party. He sent out invitations to everyone in high society, and many people came. The party was held in a rooftop garden. The venue was beautifully decorated, and musicians played elegant melodies in the corners. Nervous, fiancé? Ava asked. She was wearing a champagne-colored gown that drew the eyes of many men in the room. You'd better treat our Ava right, or you'll have to answer to me, Ava's cousin said, jokingly shaking his fist at me. Don't let her down. She's been in love with you for years. She wouldn't marry anyone else. His tone was serious, and he glanced at Ava as he spoke. I followed his gaze, and Ava was smiling and winking at me. After he walked away, I whispered, Hey, if you could do melodrama, you could at least give me a heads up. She covered her mouth, her laughter bubbling over. But I really don't want to marry anyone but you. Throughout the evening, several of Ava's admirers came over to toast us, their voices dripping with jealousy. Her hand, which had been linked through my arm, slowly slid down, and she laced her fingers through mine. Unlike Chloe's, her hands weren't dry. They were soft, delicate, and smooth. The click of a camera shutter pulled me back to reality. Oh, I had crossed a line. At some point, Ava and I had started kissing. Her arms were wrapped around my neck, and she was hanging on me, her lips gently pecking mine again and again. When she noticed I wasn't moving, she fluttered her eyes open, a complex emotion in their depths. Maybe it was the romantic atmosphere of the party, or maybe it was the sincere blessings from our friends and family. With just one look, I was completely lost in the moment. I vaguely heard her say, "I've waited 6 years for this day. You said that even if he was handsome, you wouldn't like him. But I still got you in the end." I suddenly remembered that summer vacation 6 years ago. She had come to find me, holding 2 movie tickets, and said she wanted to see a movie with me. Back then, we had a mutual crush. I agreed without a second thought. But during the movie, she leaned over and whispered, "Don't you think that actor is really handsome? He looks a lot like you. I really like him." She had spoken so softly, and her voice got even quieter halfway through, so I never heard the part about him looking like me. She just kept gushing about how much she liked him, acting like a total fangirl. It was driving me crazy. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and snapped. "Even if he is handsome, he wouldn't like you. You're being really annoying." She pouted and glared at me. Don't regret it. I'm never telling you anything again." It was only today that I finally understood. She had been trying to confess her feelings to me all along, in her own roundabout way. I was speechless. Looking back, I had been pretty dense and kind of jerk. After the engagement party, Ava and I both posted photos on our Facebook pages. To my surprise, the center picture in her 9-photo grid was the one of us kissing. The red carpet, the flowers, her white dress, her bright red lipstick, and our passionate kiss. I hadn't even realized how caught up in the moment I was. As it was the engagement of the Miller heiress, it naturally drew a lot of media attention. Once the photos were out, congratulations started pouring in from various news outlets. It even started trending on Twitter. The morning after the engagement party, I found Chloe crouching by my front door. I assumed she was there to cause another scene. "James, I was wrong," she said abruptly. "Please, don't break up with me." The fact that she was apologizing, that she was humbling herself, shocked me. In the 2 years we dated, she was always the one looking down on me after every argument. She never admitted she was wrong. I didn't hesitate to try and shut the door. Chloe stuck her foot in the doorway. She leaned half her body against the door, holding it open to stop me from closing it. I was afraid I would hurt her. "Chloe, we've been broken up for over 6 months. I'm engaged now. You." Before I could finish, Chloe suddenly lunged forward. She buried her face in my chest and wrapped her arms tightly around my waist. I pushed her away, but she just came right back. Finally, she crouched down by the door, grabbing onto my pant leg and refusing to let go. She was a mess, crying with tears and snot running down her face. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I don't want to break up with you. I thought you would never get angry." I looked down at the top of her head. "So you just kept pushing my buttons, is that it? Every time I proposed, did you think it was funny? When you were bragging to your friends about how stupid I was, did you really want to marry me then? In the past, I was the only one who cherished our relationship. That's why no matter how hurtful her words were, or how outrageous her actions became, I always tried to give her what she wanted." Chloe was silent for a few seconds. She raised her hand and slowly tightened her grip on my leg. "Isn't that what love is? If you want to marry a princess, you're supposed to go through trials and tribulations. How could you just turn around and get engaged to someone else?" Hearing her say these things so matter-of-factly made me want to laugh. I was such an idiot, a complete fool. Yesterday's engagement party had put me in a great mood, and I didn't want to ruin it by getting rough with her. I was silent for a moment, then looked down at her. "Chloe, it's never going to happen between us again. Stop bothering me." Chloe looked completely bewildered. She couldn't understand why. After she had humbled herself and apologized, I still didn't want to get back together. She wiped the tears from her eyes with her free hand. "But I don't want to be without you. When we first got together, didn't we promise that we'd always be together, no matter what? We were just one step away from getting married. How could you just give up?" She stayed there, crouched on the floor, listing all the things from our past, all the nice things I'd done for her. I really had loved her. Maybe I was even a simp for her. But a relationship can't be sustained by just one person. No matter how intense the love is, it eventually gets worn down. Looking back on it now, I don't feel any sweetness, just the bitterness of a one-sided effort. I pried her fingers off my leg, one by one. I said calmly, I'm not getting back together with you. Don't come looking for me again. Just looking at you makes me sick. Chloe kept apologizing, crying so hard she could barely breathe. I knew Chloe wasn't back because she had realized her mistakes, or because she was so deeply in love with me. It was because of that gala. It made her realize that marrying me could give her a better life. After a moment, I managed to pry her hands from the doorframe. Leave when you're done crying. Chloe's body went rigid, and the light in her eyes seemed to die out as I spoke. In the end, all she did was repeat the same sentence over and over. The internet didn't say it would be like this. My only response was to close the door. The hallway was silent, and the motion-activated lights had already gone out. Chloe slid from her crouch to a sitting position on the floor. She stared at the gray doormat in front of my door. The old one had been a style she liked, pink and fluffy, soft to the touch. She suddenly remembered when she first moved in. James kept the apartment spotless. She had read online that to establish your place in a man's home, you had to redecorate it to your own taste. So she started nitpicking, saying this was ugly, that was ugly. James was good-natured and just went along with it, buying new things, piece by piece, all in the style she liked. Almost all of the decor and furnishings in the apartment had been replaced. He would smile and ask her if she was satisfied. Chloe was satisfied, but she always put on a sour face and said, "It's fine, I guess. Nothing to be so proud of. Now to go make dinner." A small smile touched her lips as she remembered. Those had been happy times. But as she smiled, her gaze fell back to the gray doormat. Suddenly, Chloe couldn't smile anymore. That day, James had packed up everything that had anything to do with her. She had intentionally left a few things behind, hoping it would give her an excuse to come back. But James had thrown away everything she left. She hugged her knees, feeling the cold from the floor seep into her. It felt like her heart was freezing over, too. Eventually, a neighbor from down the hall came home and was startled to find her huddled in the corner. They called building security, who made her leave. Chloe had nowhere to go, so she had been staying with her friend, Maria. Maria's boyfriend privately complained about Chloe mooching off them, but on the surface, he was always very nice to her. Chloe was heartbroken and poured her heart out to them, blaming James entirely for the breakup. She had always had a bit of a crush on Maria's boyfriend. With all his attentive care, she fell for him. One day, Maria came home from work and found Chloe in bed with her boyfriend. The guy immediately claimed that Chloe had seduced him. He even slapped her a few times. The two former best friends became bitter enemies. Chloe was kicked out. She wanted to go find James again, but she remembered him saying that the sight of her made him sick. She didn't dare show her face to him again. After a few days of crying, she started hanging out in bars and nightclubs, partying until dawn and getting blackout drunk. A few times, she woke up in a hotel room. She was surrounded by used condom wrappers. She couldn't remember who she had been with, if it was one person or several. Chloe cried for a long time. She remembered how good James had been to her. Ever since graduation, she had been relying on James to support her, so she had no real job skills. All she could do was use her decent figure to try and find love in the nightlife scene. But her personality had been spoiled by James. She looked down on any guy who didn't have money, and there's no real love to be found in that scene. Some guys just used her and left. Others spent her money. Over time, Chloe fell deeper and deeper into that lifestyle. She drifted from place to place. Probably because of all the men she'd been with, Chloe found out she was sick. While waiting for her number to be called at the clinic, she sat quietly in a corner. She overheard some nurses talking about a newly public company. Chloe shot to her feet. She had heard James's name. Over the years, his life had gotten better and better. The project from that industry conference had been a huge success, and his startup was thriving. She had thought James was just trying to make her angry. Otherwise, how could he have gotten engaged so quickly? But the next year, they really got married. The news was full of their wedding photos. James looked even more handsome and successful than he had when he was with her. Chloe became like a stalker. She searched everywhere for information, trying to get a glimpse into his new life. It had to be an act, right? The heiress of a wealthy family wouldn't be that easy to marry. James had to be more miserable than she was. It was probably just a marriage for show. She prayed every day that she was right. That one day, James would be kicked out of the family, and when he came back to apologize to her, she might, reluctantly, take him back. By chance, she heard that James was going to give a speech at their old university. By the time Chloe got there, the speech had just ended. A crowd of students surrounded James, their eyes full of admiration. To cover the sores on her skin, Chloe was wearing a long-sleeved shirt, even in the summer heat. She stood out in the crowd. James's gaze swept over her, cold and distant. He recognized her, but he looked at her as if she were a complete stranger. His cold gaze was like a knife in her chest. But the next second, James's expression softened, and he smiled. He even held out his hand. Chloe felt like she had been lifted from hell to heaven. She opened her mouth, excited, wanting to say something to break the ice. Then she saw a woman walk past her. James stepped forward, took the woman's hand, and led her to her car. Wow, Mr. Evans's wife is even more beautiful in person than in the pictures. She has an amazing figure. Yeah, they were childhood sweethearts. She confessed her love, and now they're together. It makes me believe in love again. The car's taillights vanished from sight. Chloe's opening line was stuck in her throat. She didn't want to hear other people praising James's wife. That should have been her. After a long time, she finally whispered the words she hadn't had a chance to say. James, long time no see.